Hello, it's a lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Siambo. Our top stories in the news tonight: ZAMSA to search all private hospitals over the 1.6 million kwacha missing medical equipment. President Hakainde Hichilema to reorganize the leadership and management of investigative wings. Government to compensate State House Media Director CLAYSON HAMASAKA for the 2013 wrongful prosecution. In international news, Mali Prime Minister urges Burkina Faso not to rely on foreign forces. And in sports news, KASHALA bids farewell to FASO.
On Monday, 27th February 2023, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guest, Mr. Xavier Chishimba, President of UPP.
What you are saying is, we in the UPP, if we want to fight against corruption, we must separate, as a matter of agency, policy formulation from implementation. Right now we have line ministries making policies, implementing policies. It is wrong.
As they discuss governance, corruption, justice, and economy.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Living in a wonderful country full of opportunities for investment in property. Make sure your investment is guaranteed. Are you in the process of buying or selling land or properties? Don't waste your time and money. Contact SGK Property Company on 0966 61 07 55 or 0762 16 6018. SGK, a company that will conduct due diligence for you before you purchase any property. Go for a tried and tested genuine company in Zambia. SGK Property Consultants.
Hello again, another news in detail. Kamala Ward 5 Ward Development Committee, WDC Chairperson Masia Milanzi, is hopeful that Kamala South Health Post, which has been temporarily closed for 2 weeks now due to floods, will be up and running within 1 week's time, as the pumping out of water is almost complete. Speaking at the site Friday morning, where Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tawo Kamwana went to appreciate the situation, Mr. Milanzi states that the Zambia National Service has given the local authority extra machines to help complete the works in good time. Meanwhile, the WDC chair has advised the health posts that the health post needs to be elevated to prevent indoor flooding of the facility. More in this report.
Natural disasters such as floods have continued to pose a threat to the attainment of 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, such as Goal Number 3, which aims at ensuring good health and well-being for all, as places like Kamala Ward 5 in Lusaka have been robbed of health services after the health post in the area was shut down due to floods. Kamala South Health Post Sister in charge Lucy Nondo tells Camnet News that in the meantime, patients are being referred to other health facilities, while measles vaccination is currently taking place from a space given by a beauty salon operating opposite the health post. She notes that while the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU suggested putting up a tent to offer clinical services in the meantime, this is not attainable as there are no toilet facilities available. Meanwhile, speaking at the site where works to pump out the water are ongoing, Kamala Ward 5 Ward Development Committee WDC Chairperson Masia Milanzi says works to pump out the water are expected to be complete within 1 week's time.
Working with the councillor, the area councillor, Honorable Simata, the MP, Honorable Taengwa, and the ZNSC commander, we have actually relocated the clinic. We have given them a space at these shops. So that's what we have done in that aspect. And then we are working 24 hours to drain the water using the fire tender. And the drainage we have already done. We drain the water using the fire tender, channel it into this main drain, and it goes to Bombay drainage.
Meanwhile, Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tawakawana, who paid a visit to the place to appreciate the situation, states that one of the long-lasting solutions is to ensure that proper roads and drainage systems are constructed. Other challenges that have come about in the same community due to floods is the pollution of water sources such as wells, necessitating the distribution of water using water bowsers.
Our intervention during this time when we are faced with these floods is to ensure that people have access to clean drinking water. So as part of the response, we've deployed some bowsers which are distributing water in these communities just to mitigate the situation. So Kamala South is one of the areas which does not have a distribution network.
But we want to take the opportunity also to appeal to the private sector, those that are into construction, to ensure if they could come on board and work with entities like Lusaka Water and Storage to also volunteer their bowsers. Because Lusaka Water only has 2 bowsers, and these 2 can't service the whole city. So we need those with other bowsers to come on board so that we're able to distribute water everywhere. And also, ZNS, for example, has got bigger water bowsers. So even if we can have those come on board to ensure that we assist Lusaka Water and take as much clean drinking water to our people as possible.
The residents are now calling for long solutions to the problem.
Kuno problem ya mnezi iko kulibe mapompi ya Lusaka asambe kuli mapompi ya Lusaka asambe tibena problem ya manzi ndafe ya manzi ya mneti mankala na eva ya kuvishima na ya kutanki ya mankala na doti so as a result ya maleta dysentery na mumala neva mninga kambe kwa so Lusaka Water katipasa ko manzi ya meni ya kuba water kasako kungangala kwibe matenda yanga chiteko reduce manja ili problemu sisi rapo takamba sima siya problemu ya manzi kuno nje problemu ikulu ya manzi chabi manzi ya baota kuribe.
Zipora Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Zambia Medicines and Medical Supplies Agency ZAMSA Director Billy Mwetwa says the agency, working with the Ministry of Health, is set to conduct a search in all private hospitals for missing medical equipment valued at 1.6 million kwacha stolen from the ZAMSA classified location last week. On the 16th of February 2023, the agency reported that various dental equipment and thermography CT scanners were stolen from one of its classified locations away from the main warehouse as it had run out of storage capacity. Mr. Mwetwa has warned private hospitals from buying questionable equipment without proper documentation, stating that no excuse will be taken if found in possession of the equipment. He was speaking to members of the media Friday morning at the agency. More in this report.
Concerns have been arising from different sectors of society over the safety of public medicines in the country after it was reported on 16th February 2023 that various medical equipment worth 1.6 million kwacha were stolen from the Zambia Medicines and Medical Supplies Agency's ZAMSA warehouse in Lusaka. While Minister of Health Sylvia Masewo explained that the theft happened from a classified location where the dental equipment and thermography CT scanners were being stored due to lack of space at the main warehouse, concerns have not ceased. ZAMSA Director General Billy Mwetwa, speaking to the media Friday morning, has indicated that all equipment will be moved to the main warehouse to prevent similar occurrences, while assuring that the main warehouse is safe as it is under 24-hour private and state security. However, Mr. Mwetwa states that a thorough search will be undertaken for the stolen items.
Working with the ministry as well as working with the police, we are going to go through all the private hospitals to check for this equipment. Because we have serial numbers, we'll be able to track our equipment. Should anyone have equipment that is in this area and has anything altered or tampered with the serial numbers, that will still land them in trouble. So we are asking everybody to be patriotic. This equipment belongs to the Zambians through their taxes and whoever has helped us procure them. We are requesting that everybody be as patriotic as possible so that we can retrieve this equipment.
Meanwhile, Minister of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tawoka Wana, who was at the agency Friday morning to check on the said situation, used the opportunity to update the nation on the state of medicine in public health facilities.
What you are seeing is that in health facilities, the levels of drug shortage, if you like, is beginning to get close and close in terms of the gap. And also, we expect that by the end of this quarter, all the health kits that SAMHSA has procured will be in, and that will literally make the story of drug shortages a thing of the past. So what is important is that SAMHSA has stuck to its word, and then they are working around the clock, and we are making sure that there's enough medicines in the country. All provincial sectors have been supplied with cholera kits by SAMHSA to ensure that wherever cholera breaks out, we are on the ground, we are ready. So we want to assure the nation that wherever cholera will break out, we are ready for it. But at the same time, we must prevent it from breaking out. You know, cholera is basically a hygiene arrangement. Let us adhere to the hygiene standards set for us to be able to wash our hands, keep our environment clean, avoid selling cooked foods on the streets, and so on.
He has assured the Zambian people that prescriptions will be a thing of the past, as the current government is working around the clock to see to it that all public facilities are fully stocked. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Alliance for Accountability Advocates Zambia has called for investigations involving the illegal transfer of sugilite stone from Luapula province to buyers of the stolen mineral to be extended to other civil servants in Luapula province, noting that such deals are conducted by a network of people. Speaking to Camnet News, Alliance Executive Director Chilufya Luchembe notes that such crimes should be taken with utmost seriousness, as only a few people benefit at the expense of the country. He has further emphasized the need for mining licenses to be given out and mines restored to normal operations to curtail illegal operations. On 23rd February 2023, Secretary to the Cabinet Patrick Kangwa, in a press statement, announced the dismissal of 6 government officials in connection to the stolen minerals. Those whose contracts were terminated are 1 Deputy Permanent Secretary and 5 District Commissioners, namely Luapula Province Deputy Permanent Secretary Royd Mwansa, Chalenge District Commissioner Musonda Mutepuka, Mwansabombwe District Commissioner Morton Sikazwe, Isoka District Commissioner Collins Sichivula, Chifunabuli District Commissioner Adam Banda, and Sioma DC Edmond Mumbula.
The firing of the DCs in Luapula province is indeed, I think, a welcome decision by the President in ensuring that issues of corruption and accountability are upheld. But we encourage the investigating wings to be able to, take keen interest and ensure that these issues are addressed, as there are many, I think, players that are involved. It's not an individual. There are so many, especially government civil servants that are involved in this scandal. So we employ the investigating wings to take keen interest and, bring out what is happening on the ground as quickly as possible, because there's so much resources that are being wasted with regards to, different key stakeholders being involved in this transaction. But it also reveals something from these actions, that we need to ensure that these mining activities that are done in different parts of this country are legalized, and licenses are given to the right people to be able to be doing this, because this is a source of revenue for the country. So we can't just put a stop to it, but we need to ensure that it's done legally and not illegal.
President Hakainde Hichilema says he will, in the next few months, be reorganizing the leadership and management of investigative wings in order to improve their efficiency in the fight against corruption. Speaking when he addressed Parliament Friday morning on the progress made in the application of national values and principles, President Hichilema says no one should call the fight against corruption an ethnic one, adding that those who steal public resources do it on their own and not for an ethnic group. The president says he wants all the corruption alleged cases to close within 90 days of court appearance to ensure that those who steal public resources, both in the previous and current administration, are dealt with accordingly. And President Hichilema says corruption cases in courts will now be concluded in 90 days so that the culprits are brought to book. More in this report.
The fight against corruption in Zambia has been deemed political by the opposition, who feel they have been wrongfully targeted by the current United Party for National Development UPND administration. President Hakainde Hichilema, however, says his administration will fight the previous, current and future corruption at all costs, and says he will in the next few months be reorganizing the leadership and management of investigative wings, as well as increase resource financing to these institutions to ensure that they are strengthened in the fight against corruption. The president was speaking in Parliament Friday when he addressed the nation on the progress made in the application of national values and principles.
To strengthen the fight against corruption, we are reorganizing the leadership and management of investigative wings and also increasing resources to support the operations of these institutions. Just wait and see in the months ahead. In our fight against corruption, there shall be no sacred cows. Corruption of the past, corruptions of the present, corruptions of the future.
The president also says no one should call the fight against corruption as ethnic, adding that those who still do it on their own and not for an ethnic group.
Here is the message for you and the nation. Do not call the fight against corruption selective. Do not call it ethnic-based. If you took public money, you did not take it for your ethnic group. You took it for yourself.
On the other hand, the president has wondered why about 26 constituencies have not provided their constituents with bursaries under the CDF component.
That number X, we need to identify those constituencies which have not provided bursaries for vulnerable children. What is happening in your constituency? You people seated here, please do not play politics with education. Let's send our children to school. The facility is now here. Let us utilize it.
The rise in child abuse cases and divorce has also worried the president, who says human rights laws are being misinterpreted, further calling on families to respect one another.
The rate at which marriages breaking up in our country is worrisome. We must all be concerned. Sometimes we misinterpret the meaning of human rights to imply no respect for a partner in the home, and that one can do what they wish because of human rights without regard to the impact that action has to the children, the husband, or indeed the wife. We should not misinterpret the good intentions of human rights.
The president has appealed to politicians to put their politics aside and work together in improving the Zambian economy. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A Lusaka-based lawyer alleged to have acted as an advocate on behalf of someone without having a practicing license from the Law Association of Zambia has pleaded not guilty before the Lusaka Magistrates Court. This is in a matter in which Walya Chiti is jointly charged with Chasia Kazembe, an economist, and Mwansa Chitoshi, an entrepreneur, and they are facing 7 corruption-related charges, among them abuse of authority and money laundering. The trio pleaded not guilty before the Lusaka Magistrate Court Friday to corruption-related allegations involving over 800,000 United States dollars. They are also accused of defrauding the government. More in this report.
One by one and wearing masks, the trio accused of defrauding the government have all pleaded not guilty Friday. Chasia Kazembe, an economist, Mwansa Chitochi, an entrepreneur, and Walya Chiti, a Lusaka lawyer facing corruption-related charges involving more than 800,000 United States dollars. The trio denied all the charges when they appeared before Lusaka Magistrate Suvia Munyinya this morning. In count 1, the trio is charged with conspiracy to defraud contrary to section 313 of the Penal Code. Allegations are that the accused between the 1st of June 2018 and the 31st of December 2019 conspired to defraud the government the sum of $800,000 United States dollars. The trio were arrested in October 2022 by the Anti-Corruption Commission. They have been slapped with 7 counts, among them abuse of authority, defrauding the government, money laundering, among others. In the second count, the trio is charged with abuse of authority of office, contrary to Section 21, subsection 1b, as read with Section 41 of the SEC Act No. 3 of 2012. It is alleged that Kazembe on the 1st of January 2019 and the 31st of December 2020, namely a coordinator at the National Authorizing Office of the European Development Fund under the Ministry of Finance, abused the authority of office by allocating former Secretary to the Treasury Fredson Nyamba an institutional vehicle for the National Authorizing Office which he was not entitled to. In the third count, Mwansa is facing a charge of abuse of authority of office. She is alleged to have between the 1st of June 2018 and the 31st of December 2019 being a public officer, namely a project officer for HSSP program under the Ministry of Health, abused the authority of office and obtained an advantage and benefited herself $800,000 United States dollars. In the fourth count, the accused is charged with obtaining goods by false pretense, contrary to Section 309 of the Penal Code. The state alleges that Mwansa, acting together with Walia Chiti, falsely obtained $250,000 United States dollars from Providence Rizzo, purporting that the said amount was to be paid to the Zambia Revenue Authority ZRA as property transfer tax, when in fact not. The state also alleges in the fifth count that Walia Stanley Chiti purportedly acted as an advocate without a practicing certificate from the Law Association of Zambia, contrary to Section 42 of the Legal Practitioner Act, Chapter 30 of the Laws of Zambia. While in count 6 and the last count, the accused are charged with money laundering, contrary to Section 7 of the Prohibition and Prevention of Money Laundering Act No. 14 of 2001. The matter stands adjourned to April 2023 for commencement of trial. All the accused persons are on police bond. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has heard that the alleged theft that occurred at the residence of the former Republican President Edgar Lungu happened at 01 hours after electricity was cut in the area. Mayondi Dala, a police officer under protective unit, has told Magistrate Crispin Hampungani that whilst he was on duty guarding the residence of the head of state, nothing was noticed until the following day when the house help was cleaning. This is in a case in which Angel Chipasha, a businessman who sells second-hand clothes, is accused of breaking into the house of former Republican President Edgar Lungu and stealing 2 television sets worth 66,000 kwacha. More in this report.
During the continued trial in the case in which a Lusaka businessman is accused of stealing 2 television sets at the residence of the former Republican President Edgar Lungu, the court Friday morning held that there was a power cut twice in the area. Standing in the witness dock this morning was Mayondi Dala, a police officer under protective unit assigned to guard the residence of the former head of state. With him in his testimony taking the court back to the night when the alleged theft is said to have occurred. In his testimony, the witness narrated that on the 8th of August 2022, he reported on duty around 18 hours at the residence of the former head of state, situated in Ibex Hill, Lusaka. On the particular day, around 20 hours, a constable by the name of Banda Mambo reported also on duty. According to the witness, whilst on duty at around 01 a.m., there was a power cut twice in the area, and power was restored between 02 to 03 hours in the morning, until at 5 in the morning when civilian staff started reporting for work. This is when they noticed that there was a break-in and 2 television sets were missing. It is also alleged that the electric wire fence were discovered cut in the morning. The witness in cross-examination, however, confirmed with the court that he did not see anyone break into the home and steal the said television set. In this matter, the state accuses 30-year-old Angel Pasha for allegedly committing the offense and has slapped him with 1 count of burglary and theft contrary to Section 301A and 272 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia, allegations which the accused denies before court. According to a statement recently issued by the police, Chipasha, who is believed to be an opposition Patriotic Front cadre, was linked to the theft in August 2022 following an investigation that was launched. The 2 Samsung television sets allegedly stolen at the former head of state residence are said to be valued at 66,000 kwacha. The matter stands adjourned. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Lusaka High Court has ruled in favor of State House Media Director CLAYSON HAMASAKA in a case in which he had sued the government seeking damages for malicious and wrongful prosecution over his arrest in 2013. The court has ordered that HAMASAKA be compensated by the state for damage, forced imprisonment, pain and suffering. Last year, HAMASAKA sued the government, stating that he be compensated for lost personal items, interest, costs, and any other relief the court may deem fit. HAMASAKA stated that he suffered loss of earning capacity of business, loss of reputation, and injury to his personal credibility as a result of the false arrest and prosecution, which led to him being shunned and isolated, as he also lost his employment at Evelyn Horn College, where he was a lecturer, head of media, and station manager for Horn FM broadcasting station. He stated that his arrest and subsequent prosecution for the initial charges of dealing in drugs, defamation of the president, and seditious practices was widely publicized in print and electronic media, both locally and internationally, leading to his dismissal. Leader of the opposition in Parliament, Brian Mundubile, is disappointed at what he terms as failure by President Hakainde Hichilema to address issues on regionalism. Mr. Mundubile says this has left a lot of people in suspense on what exactly is left for the Zambian people. Speaking shortly after the presidential address at Parliament buildings Friday, the opposition leader says Zambia's performance on the implementation of the national values and principles leaves much to be desired. Mr. Mundubile notes that Article 259 of the Zambian Constitution gives the mandate to those who make appointments, such as the president, to take into account regional diversity, and says what is obtaining on the ground is not enshrined in the Constitution. Meanwhile, former Vice President Enoch Kavindele has commended President Hakainde Hichilema for abolishing the death penalty, which he says was a violation of human rights. More in this report.
The national address of President Hakainde Hichilema to Parliament Friday morning is not without criticisms, as some opposition leaders feel important issues have not been addressed. Leader of the opposition in Parliament, Brian Mundubile, who is also the Patriotic Front presidential hopeful, says he is disappointed at the fact that the president has failed to address issues of regionalization, which has continued to raise many eyebrows from concerned members of the general public.
So far, the UPND government hasn't done very well in the fight against corruption, because it's been very selective in the manner that it was implemented. We had clear cases of fertilizer procurement, the contracts in the Ministry of Health, ministers writing letters to contractors, ministers moving with heavy baggages from Chinese shops and so on. And all those matters were swept under the carpet. So those and many other examples showed that there was no commitment towards the fight against corruption. But if the president is making a new commitment that going forward, he's going to fight corruption squarely without discrimination, we welcome that. But so far, they have not performed well.
And Pambashi Member of Parliament Rona Chitotela says unity must be coherent in terms of policy implementation and pronouncements.
Out of the message of the president, need for us to serve the people that are being able to send us here, because we carry a representative authority, a designated power for us to represent the people, for us to work for the people that have deposited their authority in us. That is key. That is key. But what is important is that unity the president is speaking about must be translated into reality. Those lieutenants that have been assigned to assist the president in implementation of his policy pronouncement.
Meanwhile, Justice Minister Mulambo Haimbe has re-echoed the president's call for the three arms of government to work together in implementing national values and principles.
Excellency put across is the need for all of us to move together, put aside those differences, put aside our political affiliations, and the need for the three arms of government, including the judiciary, to be committed to what we are looking at as ideals as the new Dawn government, including in relation to the protection of our very scarce resources. All in all, I would summarize this as a brilliant speech.
And former Vice President Ino Kavindele has commended the government for the abolishing of the death penalty, which he says was a violation of human rights.
Others have tried to, address them, but with no success. Certainly the abolishment of the death penalty is very right. It's something that from President Kaunda to everyone else tried to, but no one ever managed. But within a short time, he has seen it fit to sort out that one. Then, of course, the one of education is extremely important. We cannot develop this country if our people just start getting married at the age of...
Sampa Mulenda, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
We'll take a commercial break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
In our quest to serve nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
On Monday, 27th February 2023, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guest, Mr. Xavier Chishimba, President of UPP.
What you are saying is, we in the UPP, if we want to fight against corruption, we must separate, as a matter of agency, policy formulation from implementation. Right now we have 9 ministries making policies, implementing policies. It is wrong.
As they discuss governance, corruption, justice, and economy.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. Commerce, Trade and Industry Minister Chipoka Mulenga has encouraged businesses in the country to start adding value to their products if they are to grow and become export-oriented. Speaking at the Grand Business Expo exhibition in Lusaka Friday, Mr. Mulenga, who represented the Vice President, says many small businesses are failing to break even because they have failed to add value to their products. The minister also says the reason why many businesses in Africa fail is because Africans have failed to love their own products because they do not believe in themselves and tend to admire what comes from outside the continent. Meanwhile, Mega Exhibition Chairperson Bernard Walia says the sponsors of the expo will help finance 2 businesses exhibiting at the expo with the potential to grow and employ more people.
We as Africans, we as Zambians have never paid attention to love and believe in our own products. We are always saying they are inferior. They will continue to be inferior if we do not buy them. They will continue to be inferior if we do not support them. Let's believe in Zambia, let's believe in Africa. I can assure you, colleagues from around the world, they were not just born to be experts in what they are doing. They also started from somewhere and tried to better their things, but they believed in themselves.
To create brand awareness for the products and services for the institutions. 2, want to create visibility, brand visibility for the institutions, and then also want to ensure that we have maximum interaction between companies and the institutions. And then after the event is done, we are going to choose 2 SMEs that are participating, and then through our sponsors and organizers, we're going to see which other institutions of those 2 that will pick. What help do they need in terms of financial help?
These exhibitions such as this are a very good platform for companies that are looking to start out, looking to showcase their products and hopefully penetrate the market, because it's a stiff competition that a lot of businesses are facing.
Advocates for National Democracy and Development has urged government to heed calls by the mine unions on the Copper Belt to hand over KCM to Vedanta Resources. ANDD Executive Director Samuel Banda notes that mine unions during President Hakainde Hichilema's Copper Belt tour requested from the head of state that they want KCM handed over to Vedanta owing to the continued operational challenges at the mine. Mr. Banda has meanwhile observed that the calls from government to hand over the mine to Vedanta are getting louder, an indication that people are looking forward to the restoration of mining glory on the Copper Belt. He says any further delay by government to hand over KCM to Vedanta will continue posing challenges with regards to effective operations and the people on the Copper Belt.
Hakainde Hichilema for showing willingness and a strong commitment to resolve the KCM Vedanta impasse. Such commitment by the president should be supported by all stakeholders in the interest of developing our country, in the interest of making our mining sector viable and create employment opportunities for Zambians. And our position is that government should hand over KCM to Vedanta Resources. We believe that Vedanta Resources is the best option to operate KCM effectively and efficiently and restore the mining glory on the Copper Belt and promote trade and commerce on the Copper Belt and in our country as a whole, and develop our country for the betterment of every citizen.
The Kariba North Bank Extension Power Corporation, a subsidiary of Zesco Limited, has donated an autoclave to Siavonga District Hospital as part of its corporate social responsibility. An autoclave is a machine that uses steam under pressure to kill harmful bacteria, viruses, fungi, and spores on items that are placed inside a pressure vessel, such as those used in the hospital theaters. Speaking during the handover of the equipment worth 190,000 kwacha, KNBE board member Justin Longo, who is also Zesco Director Transmission, says KNBE is keen on the needs of the people of Siavonga and the country at large, hence the donations. And speaking on behalf of Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary, Siavonga District Health Director Dr. Adija Sumbwe says government is happy that corporate entities are supplementing its efforts in bringing health closer to the people. More in this report.
The Kariba North Bank Extension Power Corporation has handed over an equipment known as an autoclave worth 190 kwacha to Siavonga District Hospital, aimed at supplementing government's effort of bringing health services closer to the people. Speaking at the ceremony at Siavonga District Hospital, KNBE board member Justin Longo says the corporation is committed to ensuring that the needs of the people in areas it operates from, among other areas, benefit from the institution Corporation's corporate social responsibility. He says the corporation identified the need and thought it wise to procure the equipment with the hope that the patient's needs will be met. An autoclave in hospitals is used to sterilize utensils, especially those used in the theater and generally hospital environment, which need thorough cleaning, usually possible only using regulated temperatures through a machine known as an autoclave.
Are committed to supporting the health sector of the district as well as the country, and this donation is just one of the ways we are fulfilling that commitment. This autoclaving machine is an essential piece of equipment for any health care facility. It will aid in the sterilization of medical equipment and supplies, ensuring that patients receive the best possible care in a safe and sanitary environment. We understand the importance of having the latest technology, and we are confident that this machine will help Siavonga District Hospital provide top quality service to its patients. As a board, we hope that this donation will go a long way in supporting the good work that is done by Siavonga District Hospital.
In Siavonga, acting senior nursing officer Nora Mopenda took time to briefly demonstrate how the machine works and its importance to the hospital.
Instruments, they're the ones that we use during an operation. I'll give an example of a cesarean section. You have to have sterile equipment, which you have to use on a patient. So usually after cleaning our instruments, we pack them, then we put them inside here. So whatever we are using on the patient, including the material for draping the patient, it has to be sterile, and it is usually set according to the hours that you want to. When it is done, it will show that
Government appreciates all efforts that help the vulnerable in the autoclave, who go a long way in advancing the health needs of Siavonga residents.
On behalf of government and the people of Siavonga, the government is pleased to partner with Kariba North Bank Extension Power Corporation in improving healthcare in Zambia. Power Corporation is donating today. Will go a long way. Power Corporation is donating today. Will go a long way in helping to strengthen healthcare for the people of Siavonga and the general public. In line with the 8th National Development Plan, the New Dawn government, under the leadership of His Excellency, the President Hakainde Hichilema, is committed to increasing access to quality health care. I wish to mention that Kariba North Bank Extension Power Corporation, a subsidiary of the ZESCO Limited, as part of its social corporate responsibility, purchased an autoclave machine for the Siavonga District Hospital.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News.
Some Evelyn Horn College students Friday, the 24th of February 2023, staged a peaceful protest appealing to the government to have their tuition fee debt that has accumulated since 2020 cancelled. Speaking to Camnet TV News, the students have lamented that they were awarded 100% bursary in 2020 by the then Ministry of Higher Education, later stripping off 50%. They have lamented that they engaged many stakeholders while lobbying to get their 50% back in the recent past, but their efforts have proven futile, hence their appeal for debt relief. More in the following report.
Students' bursaries since their introduction have had a great impact on the education sector as they help vulnerable persons to acquaint themselves with the necessary skills and training needed, as well as offer inclusive education across the country. The case, however, has been different for some Evelyn Horn College students who have been left hopeless, searching for money to sustain to the then first-year students, but later stripped of 50%, stating that 100% was to be awarded. Students continue to raise concern. Majority of the affected students at Evelyn Horn College laments that the percentage that was stripped off was too much and has forced some students to stay away from school as they cannot
get back the 50% bursary that was cut from our 100% which was given in 2020. When we started, they awarded us a 100% bursary, but then 1 month to learning, they said something has changed. They had cut it to 50%. And ever since then, we have been facing a lot of challenges because some students who came here hoping to have 100% bursary were unable to continue with their studies. We have so many people who have dropped out. In 2020, we had a huge number. In 2021, we also faced challenges. And every time we're registering for exams, it is always challenging.
And some of us where we're coming from, we were not managing to pay the other 50 that was accorded to us. We had engaged
get back the 50%, but their efforts have proved to be futile. They have since appealed to the government through the Ministry of Science and Technology to consider clearing them of their accumulated debts.
Percent bursary was cut off, and ever since that, the only reason that has kept us in this school is the fact that we only register, we only pay our registration fee and only our exam fee. So our tuition fee is what we are unable to pay to graduate, because for us to graduate it means we have to pay our tuition fee. So based on that reason, we are asking, actually appealing to the government that they should actually give us back our 50% bursary, or they should, give us debt relief.
Meanwhile, Evelyn Horn College Students Union President Regan Mpundu has assured the students that no one will be left behind, as he has engaged in talks with relevant authorities over the matter.
Students are allowed to take it as it is 100%, and they should not worry that maybe after they are done with school, then to come back and say, no, you are supposed to pay. And this issue of 50% bursary is under discussion with the Ministry of Technology.
With the introduction of free education, one can only hope that the students' plea for a debt relief is granted so as to enable them to fulfill their purpose in schools and contribute to the development of the country. And by broadcast time, efforts to get a comment from the school management were futile. Beatrice Chabaya, Camnet News, Lusaka.
This is Camnet Television News, and not just another channel. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news in international and sports news.
Living in a wonderful country full of opportunities for investment in property. Make sure your investment is guaranteed. Are you in the process of buying or selling land or properties? Don't waste your time and money. Contact SGK Property Company on 0966 610755 or 0762 166018. SGK, a company that will conduct due diligence for you before you purchase any property. Go for a tried and tested genuine company in Zambia. SGK Property Consultants.
On Monday, 27th February 2023, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guest, Mr. Xavier Chishimba, President of UPP.
What you are saying is, we in the UPP, if we want to fight against corruption, we must separate, as a matter of agency, policy formulation from implementation. Right now we have line ministries making policies, implementing policies. It is wrong.
As they discuss governance, corruption, justice, and economy.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. And now in international news, the Malian Prime Minister urged the government of Burkina Faso not to rely on foreign armies to fight the jihadist groups present in both countries. Speaking during a visit to Burkina's capital, Ouagadougou, the Malian Prime Minister reiterated his determination in winning the war. On Wednesday, at least a dozen army auxiliaries from the Volunteers for the Defense of the Fatherland Force were killed in an attack in northern Burkina Faso. A few days earlier, 70 soldiers were killed in 2 other attacks in the north near Mali. Here's a roundup of international news.
The Malian Prime Minister urged the government of Burkina Faso not to rely on foreign armies to fight the jihadist groups present in both countries. Speaking during a visit to Burkina's capital, Ouagadougou, the Malian Prime Minister reiterated his determination in winning the war. To win the war, it is with our armies, no foreign army. It must be clear, no one will come to die for us. It is the Africans who must defend ourselves. But in order for us to defend ourselves, the army must be sure that their people are with them, that they will never die for nothing. On Wednesday, at least a dozen volunteers for the defense of the fatherland were killed in an attack in northern Burkina. A few days earlier, 70 soldiers were killed in 2 other attacks in the north, near Mali. This is a difficult period because you have made choices today that are not to everyone's liking. So they are putting pressure on you, they are sowing doubt. And it is at this moment that I believe, like all great peoples, the people of Burkina Faso must stand as one. Last Sunday, French military left Burkina Faso after a request of new leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Tunisian President Kais Saied called on Thursday for his government to take care of legal migrants from sub-Saharan Africa. The appeal followed accusations on Wednesday by Tunisian human rights groups of hate speech by the president. To all leaders at every level, look after our brothers from sub-Saharan Africa who are in a legal situation. This is a matter for the state. It must take its responsibilities. There is no question of allowing anyone in an illegal situation to stay in Tunisia. There is a state and institutions. On Tuesday, President Kais Saied said that hordes of sub-Saharan African migrants were causing crime and posed a demographic threat to the country.
Algerian authorities on Thursday dissolved a decades-old pro-democracy group that participated in the peaceful protests which helped force the North African country's longtime president Abdelaziz Bouteflika from office in 2019. The Youth Action Group and the left-leaning Movement for Democracy and Socialism Party, that was also suspended by the same decree, appear to be the latest targets of a crackdown on Algeria's dissenting voices. Algeria's Interior Ministry had accused the group of plotting to destabilize the country and conducting activities in breach of the law governing non-governmental organizations. The group's leaders have dismissed the allegations. They have accused President Abdelmadjid Tebboune of going back on a promise to reform the power structure, which they say has bred corruption and an overbearing military. Rights organizations have urged Algerian authorities to scrap the Bouteflika-era code, which they say imposes undue restrictions on activists and professional associations.
It's now time for sports news. In our sports news tonight, the Football Association of Zambia, FAS General Secretary Adrian KASHALA, has left the association and his position following his reinstatement in the Zambia Police Service. During the transition period, FAS Registrar Iva Lengwe will act as General Secretary for administrative convenience until the position is filled. FAS President Andrew Kamanga says this follows the reinstatement of Adrian KASHALA in the Zambia Police, where he has been appointed as Senior Assistant Commissioner of Police and Deputy Commanding Officer Paramilitary Battalion Unit. He will no longer serve as FAS General Secretary. Kamanga has thanked KASHALA for his service to the game, especially his role as General Secretary. KASHALA has been General Secretary from September 2018 and previously served as Deputy before being elevated. This is according to a statement issued to the media by Football Association of Zambia Communications Manager Sydney Mungala. To end Camnet Television News, the headlines once again. Zambia to search all private hospitals over the 1.6 million kwacha missing medical equipment. President Hakainde Hichilema to reorganize the leadership and management of investigative wings. Government to compensate State House Media Director CLAYSON HAMASAKA for the 2013 wrongful prosecution. In international news, Mali Prime Minister urges Burkina Faso not to rely on foreign forces. And in sports news, KASHALA bids farewell to FASO. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from Romans 8, verse 1 to 2. Therefore, there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ, because through Christ Jesus, the law of the Spirit of life set me free from the law of sin and death. Thank you once again for watching Camnet Television News. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.